Hello, good evening and welcome to our last bulletin for the day. This is News at 10 on TV3 and 3FM 92.7. You can watch TV3 on your DSTV channel 279. Let's begin with a summary of the day's news highlights. An elderly woman in Pasa in the Nketia North District of the Volta region has resorted to keeping her cash in a hole dug in front of her house after falling victim to a financial scam, absconding with her savings of 4,000. Unfortunately, part of the money she saved has been destroyed by termites. This was captured in an amateur video sent to us by the general manager of a rural bank in the Volta region. On delayed passage of the Right to Information Bill, attacks on journalists and injustice against journalists were some concerns raised by participants at the launch of the 2018 World Press Freedom Day in Accra. But Minister for Information Mustafa Hamid is assuring the Right to Information Bill will be passed when Parliament resumes sitting this month. Hundreds of Uber drivers in Accra have given a 2-week ultimatum to the multinational company to address their grievances or they'll strike. The drivers who besieged the Ghana International Trade Fair site at La in Accra on Wednesday, May 2nd, are demanding a review of the 25% commission to the online transportation company Uber, as well as the discount to riders. Elsewhere, Zimbabwean opposition leader has vowed to expel Chinese investors if he wins elections due in July. Speaking at a May Day rally in the capital Harare, Nelson Chamisa said Chinese are busy tripping the resources of the country. That's the major news highlights. Remember, you can hear us live on 3FM 92.7 and we're streaming live on our Facebook page and on 3news.com. Up next is the big one. Welcome back. Now, the National Democratic Congress, NDC, has warned persons who failed to support the party in the 2016 elections to stay away from contesting the upcoming constituency elections. General Secretary Asiedu Nketia said such individuals, by virtue of their actions, have excommunicated themselves from the party and can only rejoin as new members. Here's a report by Godfrey Turner.
The main opposition National Democratic Congress NDC branch elections ended with some litigations and petitions on some issues raised concerning the conduct of the election. According to the General Secretary Asiedu Nketia, despite some challenges, the election generally has been successful with massive turnout for the first time in the history of the branch elections. Asiedu Nketia cautioned disgruntled individuals who did not support candidates in the 2016 elections to stay away from contesting the constituency elections.
As far as our constitution is concerned, there is no difference between an NDC person who has left and rejoined, and then an MPP or PCP person who is joining the party for the first time. You all be treated equally. So if you join today, your membership will be there as having started from today. So if in the regulations governing any of our elections, there is a requirement that you must have done 6 months before you qualify to contest that particular election, then you check your 6 months from the day you rejoin.
The General Secretary also warned litigators holding up the branch election in some of the areas to resolve their issues.
Constituencies where there are challenges about the elections, please, constituency executives, do well. Put in your best to ensure that 100% of the branches would have done their, branch elections. But to those litigants who think that they can use the court process to frustrate our elections, the law is clear. If at the branch level you want to hang in court, we leave you behind and proceed to do constituency elections.
The NDC chief scribe mentioned the number of delegates for the election has been increased. The nomination form is going for 20 cedis, with the filing fees going for 500 cedis for chairmanship position, 250 cedis for both women and youth organizers, 200 cedis for all deputy positions, 100 cedis for 8 other selected positions, with the rest of the positions going for 300 cedis.
Right, let's get talking now. Fred Agbenyo is the Deputy National Communications Officer of the NDC and is joining me via phone. Good evening, sir, and thank you. We're grateful for your time. So, what is actually the caution to some of your members seeking to do?
Well, I think that today the General Secretary, like rightly, I think your reporters were there to cover the program. He has put out the regulations for the constituency elections. The forms are supposed to start going out coming Monday, and how members are supposed to comply with the regulations. We have said that in the past, the 2016 elections, some persons, for whatever reason, decided to go as independent candidates, and some also went to join some other political parties. They didn't just go by themselves alone, they also went along with some other party members. Now, per this new regulation, such persons could come back and raise as party members, but they will not be allowed to contest for any position at the constituency level. And I think that that's a statement that the General Secretary put out very clearly.
I know that restructuring or reorganizing the party after a major political loss like it happened in the December elections is a big deal for any party, not necessarily yours alone. And so I'm wondering whether such a warning openly on the public platform is the way to go, because I get the impression that you actually know those people. Can you not reach them through grassroots communications than a press conference?
Well, we have about 275 constituencies across the entire country, and so we just want to put the instructions out there for all members, those who are interested in contesting, the executives, everybody to comply with. We don't want a situation where people stay in their own constituencies and take the law to their own hands and do whatever they want to do. Once the directive has been given from national, we expect everybody to follow through. It is true that we lost an election, we are reorganizing, but there's no way a political party can succeed or can thrive without discipline and people complying with the regulations or the constitution of the party. And that is why we have made a very emphatic statement right here in Accra, and that information is going to all the constituencies and all party members. Because if you have the branch elections were going on, in some cases you go there, directive is issued, and people think that it's just the executives who are giving that directive, and that the directive is not coming from Accra. So what we did today was to put the information out there. It is circulating on almost all the platforms. You two have picked it up. Everybody gets on that. This is not a decision by the national executives or the regional executives, but this is the decision of national executives of the party.
So the point I'm making is that you do know those who worked against your cause, don't you?
Yes, we do.
So you're reaching out to them, apart from a loud press conference, I mean, behind the closed doors. Are you doing that?
Well, of course, all of them that went as independent in the last election, we accordingly wrote to them and suspended them, their membership of the party. But since we opened nomination for people to really register, some of them went back and registered. But this particular provision is not necessarily in the Constitution, but the party's Constitution has given the national executive the mandate to produce a bylaw or a regulation that governs every election. So what they are seeking to do now is to include this particular provision in the bylaw and make it very clear to everybody that yes, you have come back, we have accepted your membership back of the party, but to contest an election, you have to satisfy other provisions that contact says that, for instance, I would have served in the country maybe 2 years or 6 years, in some cases 4 years, before you are eligible to contest a particular position. We expect that they will come and get the queue when their time is due, then they can pick their form and contest whatever position they want to contest for.
Right, I know it might be a basic question to ask, but tell me, I mean, from what you've said, who qualifies to contest?
Well, I think that the constitution of the party is very explicit on who qualifies at the constituency level. That one must have been an active member of the constituency for at least 2 years. Should have paid your dues up to date. That's from January of this year to March of this year. And have paid all your dues. Very active member, well known. You don't belong to any other political party, but only NDC. And you are qualified by the national constitution. You are 18 years and above, a registered voter, and you are somebody who resides within the constituency, and you vote within the constituency in which you want to aspire for a particular position. Once you meet all those basic requirements that are both in the NDC constitution and national constitution, you are qualified to contest.
Right. Mr. Fred, we're grateful for your time. Thank you very much. We also have in the studio Maxwell Lukuto, who is a member of the NDC. He's also an aspiring member of Parliament. Good evening, sir, and thank you extremely for coming. It appears that Fred Agbenyo has said everything that needs your party members to be assured that they're working for unity, right?
Yeah, sure. We really are working towards that oneness. The mantra is that in 2020 we're definitely going to show the MPP the exit, and I am very confident that with the kind of things we are putting in place, the reorganization exercise that's going on, it's inuring to the benefit of the party at large, because it's interesting you see the kind of people who are really coming up to become branch executives at the local level.
When you say kind of people, you mean the
quality of people,
and caliber of persons
the caliber of people
have improved?
Yes.
How different are they now from the previous
hitherto,
caliber?
it looked like...
Are they more qualified? Are
very,
they more,
very.
More involved at the grassroots? What is the difference?
At the grassroots level
makes
now,
you so proud that they can kick out the MPP?
Yeah, hitherto you see that the branch elections or the branch executive positions are left for people who are only there and kind of are always around. But this time you see a lot of elites coming in, graduates, masters holders, and all the kind of people coming in to become branch executives. And you realize that the interest in the party is growing. And
right. Maxwell, I'll stop you there. Let's move on to other discussions, since Mr. Agbenyo has spoken a lot about the party elections and unity. But the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations claims the government has created over 1 million jobs so far. The ministry has gone ahead to release the full list of jobs created. The list includes a total of 3,500 jobs created by the Interior Ministry, under which is the Fire Service, Immigration, as well as the Police Service. So let me come back to you, Maxwell. Are you satisfied with this move? The move to now openly bring out a list, because your party has been calling for a list. Are you satisfied?
Yeah, Steve, it's interesting that these are the kind of things we are hearing from the MPP being jobs created. Simple English
They are not
language.
jobs?
Simple English language.
Jobs in the immigration
service. The definition
service.
of creation. Creation is something new that you are bringing into the service, into the system. Are we saying that police service is new? Security services, the job opportunity they are giving to people to be enlisted into the security service, is it a new thing? Are we saying Ministry of Health, it's new? Road and transport, construction, all the things that have been listed.
So these are not necessarily new jobs. So
Necessarily
that's the point
and
you're making.
And even if you go to the school feeding program, in my constituency, almost all the caterers were taken away and new ones brought into place. The fact that they have new names doesn't make it new job created. So it's funny the kind of things we see the MPP.
So you think it's misleading?
Very misleading. Very, very misleading. Because you realize that these are not new things that are coming on board. They are old.
So what do you want to see in terms of new jobs?
No, seriously, if they
you
talk
want
about
new factories, were there new people working in the factory,
and you realize that new people are being employed, then that's why you can be sure that people are being employed and are given jobs. But if you go to the farmers, my father is a farmer.
My mother is a farmer.
Yes, he asked me to go and buy fertilizer for him from the Ministry of Health. I went to buy, my name was written. My name was added to the list as members who are part of the
new jobs
planting
created.
for food.
So your name is there?
My name is there, my name should be there.
No, you've got a new job.
I'm sure, maybe I have a new job.
And
so,
you're aspiring to be MP as well. So new job, new position,
yeah,
that would be great.
So it's interesting the kind of things we are seeing these people bring in. And you wonder how they want to Ghanaians to understand and believe.
But seriously, if this number of, let's say, positions, you don't want to use new jobs, if this number of positions have been filled and occupied and your party asks for evidence and the evidence is provided, and now you're saying, no, the evidence is not enough, it's like you're just nagging about nothing.
It is not about nagging Steve. It's about the reality of the situation on ground. We are part of the system. My constituency, hello to all of them. My constituency, there are a lot of people on daily basis who want jobs. I'm part of the system who create jobs. I own about 4 businesses and I create jobs for people. People come every day looking for a job. You realize that the NPP, the food soldiers always chase them wherever they go. Today, it was also in the news that they were chased down. So if jobs are being created,
are positions for food soldiers, is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that if jobs are being created, why should the food soldiers be fighting them every day on the streets and everywhere they go? So it's like, it's a gimmick. It's like they are just throwing that.
So what do you want to
let us see the real job being created.
So
let's see the new district that they have promised. They have promised every district.
So if it's not a district factory, then it's not a job?
It is not necessarily that, but let's see improvement in the systems. If secondary schools are created and teachers are being employed in there, if new things are being done, that is where we can be convinced that these people are creating something new. But recycling the whole thing doesn't make it a creation. And for me, it looks like we don't understand the meaning of the word create. Create is something new. But if there's something existing and you come to adapt to it, or you come to reshuffle, you sack people, you bring more people in, and you call it a creation, it's interesting the kind of thing we are hearing in the system now. It's not the best we should be listening to.
Right.
Because we in this Ghana, and a lot of things have happened in the past. Construction was on, everything was part of the system, and today you don't see the kind of thing. I am part of the system, I'm a contractor. You go, we are not working because our monies are not being paid to us as contractors, and we are claiming on the rooftops that we've created jobs. It's interesting the kind of thing we hear this people.
Right, Maxwell, we'll leave it here. We're grateful for your time. Maxwell Lukutor is a member of the NDC. He's also an aspiring MP. I'm Stephen Enti. This is News at 10. We're live from the News Hub at Adisawe Kanda. You can hear us on radio 92.7 and streaming live on our Facebook page and on 3news.com. We'll be right back. Please stay.
We chabiana maniaje, we chabi into maniaje rough. We don't be a mama who me come. And ya who me can't see my fine. I don't go for me go. I don't go for me go. I me gonna maniaje rough. Yeah, they are buying you we don't know. Who chabiana we fine. When you better I don't go every day no I don't go for me go.
And too many power and fear doom watching. And says I pin for noon. I will drinking spots beer.
And don't go bitters.
Hello, I'm Michael Nketia, and I'm poised to give you sports news at its very best. If it happens in the world of sports, this is your platform, Sports Unlimited. All the news, the exclusive interviews, the analysis, the scores, the statistics, and what it means for your favorite team, your favorite player, and your favorite sport. Sports Unlimited every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Sports Unlimited, sports news at its very best.
Sports Unlimited, Tuesdays to Thursdays, 10:30 p.m. right here on TV3. Everything you need to know. Captivating. Reliable, credible, and breaking news. All at your fingertips.
Who's found Asamoah Gyan? Super finish!
Being on top of the news has never been easy. Visit us at www.3news.com for all your reliable news. 3 News, news at your fingertips.
To every story, there's a deeper meaning, a host of angles, which, when reported with the highest ethics of journalism, bring out the perspectives that matters most to you. That's what News 360 is all about. I seek to climb higher, dig deeper, and go further to bring you 360 degrees of the news and what happens thereafter. I'm Natalie Fort. Join me on News 360 every weekday at 7 p.m.
There are lots of amazing stories out there. What we do on News 360 is to bring to you the most compelling news by teasing out the right pieces that bring the stories to life. My job is to present to you the news in the most gripping manner and asking the critical questions that bring out the needed detail out of the stories. My name is Alfredo Kansi. Join me on News 360, Monday through to Friday, 7 p.m. on air and online only on TV3.
Log on to www.3news.com for more news and updates of our major stories. Join us on Facebook 3newsgh for live streaming and comments on our page. Like and follow us on Twitter at 3newsgh and at 3sportsgh. Like our pictures on Instagram, TV3 Network. If you missed our live shows, watch a playback on YouTube, TV3GH. TV3, first in news, best in entertainment.
Welcome back. Now, an elderly woman in Basa in the Nkwanta North District of the Volta region has resorted to keeping her cash in a hole dug in front of her house after falling victim to a financial scam, absconding with her savings of 4,000 Ghana cedis. Unfortunately, part of the money she saved has been destroyed by termites. This was captured in an amateur video sent to us by the general manager of a rural bank in the Volta region.
The high level of mistrust for banks has contributed to the slow pace at which the banking population in Ghana is growing, with a little over 65% of the bankable population not having any relationship with any financial institution. But it is a story of an elderly woman in Pasa in the Nkwanta North District of the Volta region that epitomizes this very mistrust for the banking system. The said elderly woman, who sells water, has been a victim of financial firm which absconded with her savings of 4,000 cedis. She therefore resorted to keeping her cash in a hole dug in front of her house. She covered the burrow with logs of firewood. Though she might have been caught between the deep blue sea of unknown banks and the devil of a vulnerable hole in front of her house, it was termites who wreaked havoc on a savings of close to 1,700 cedis.
Bank no manya fa bank sika kwa bank million media kwato ho wo mo adwane na sese me nso me ya brewa metemenkwa na manya gusu tase me to aduane de aka no na me se me nsa mfa nkwa biom na me de asie nda na meti se rural bank for wo ho ana ma yi sika ni se mbefa kwato ho no ma yi sika na mo ade na awie sika no ana ma adwane akoduru wo mo.
Though the Bank of Ghana has been strict with its regulations for the banking industry, evidenced by the closure of some banks and the introduction of new minimum requirements for commercial and rural banks, there is little incentive for people to save in banks.
Chartered Institute of Bankers, Akofa Ahiafo, has charged prospective depositors to save with credible financial institutions. She was speaking on News 360, where she admitted confidence in the microfinance institutions have waned, but was quick to add there are still good institutions available for business.
You see this rather worrying situation involving an old woman who has had to resort to traditional means of savings because she lost her money to a microfinance institution. This is not the case in isolation, you say, from what you do know.
Reliable financial institutions or microfinance institutions that they could have banked with. But you can't blame them for what is happening, for hiding her money in the hole. Most of the time, customers do not move to find out about the institutions they are working with, which we are trying to get people to do now. That for you to have business or to do some business with the microfinance, at least you should take some steps. People like her, I'm sure it's very difficult for them to do that. So I sympathize with her.
A lot of the microfinance institutions are duping people of their hard-earned monies that they save with them. And do you see the regulator being very hard there as against what's happening in the commercial banks, where you see banks being closed down, that's being taken over by the Bank of Ghana?
You know, the microfinance service sector, I'm sure, took our regulators by surprise. A lot of companies came in, and some were not licensed at all, others were. Right now, we can't tell whether this particular one was licensed, so you can't blame the regulator completely for it. So we need to dig further to know whether this particular Charles Noble also is licensed. If it's licensed, the directors will be there, so they can actually trace the owners and be able to, get some funds from them. But those that are not registered at all, they are not licensed at all, they are the ones that I would say there will not be any hope. But though, if they find out and this particular institution is licensed, they will be able to get the directors to provide some funds. Yes.
That's how we wrap up with news at 10. Thank you very much for staying. On behalf of the crew, good night. Sports Unlimited is up next.
Everything you need to know. Captivating. Reliable. Credible and breaking news. All at your fingertips.
Who's found Asamoah Gyan? Super finish!
Being on top of the news has never been easy. Visit us at www.3news.com for all your reliable news. 3 News, news at your fingertips.
In 2013, we shaped the course of national policy with compelling stories on education and health. In